Okay, so we were discussing the management and decision making. So basically, now you have understood that there is a business, and every business, to run the business, you need intelligence, you need information, you need data at every point of business, whether it's starting planning the business, whether it's executing, or whether it's the monitoring, right? So, what is management? As you already are well aware, that management is a process to achieve your mission, your vision, your goals through the optimal use of resources. So, basically, what are the resources that you have? You have peoples, you have equipments, and you have money in your head. So, these all you have to use for using your to achieve your vision, mission, and goals. So in order to do that, you need to make a lot of decisions. So basically, the managers normally have three basic roles in the management. You have interpersonal, means you are communicating with the peoples, you are communicating with your staff, you are communicating with your customers, you are communicating with your stakeholders, your competitors. You are providing information to your team so that they can make the decisions, not only you, the person who is handling the customer, the person who is doing the production or doing the actual service, need also to have information. And then you have decisional roles. Basically, you are taking the decisions on the various aspects of your business. So these are the three main roles. When in this we are not going to discuss about the interpersonal, because that's communication skills or informational roles. We are going to be most focusing more on the decision and the information which you have as a manager. And so to make the decisions, you need at least you have four phases of making the decisions. And this is a decision making process. Maybe you are already aware of it. If you are not, then we will go through it. These are four phases of decision making process. It starts with intelligence phase. What is the problem, right? So basically, you are going to look at your reality. What is the current situation now, what is happening in the market, what are the symptoms, what are the reasons. So you're gonna try to empathize your problem, you're gonna try to understand your problem, and say, okay, what is the information, what is the problem, what is the wrong, what is happening wrong. So you will ask questions, right? You will ask questions, why is it happening. So if, let's say, there is normally a theory that you need to ask at least three whys or four whys in order to get the root cause of the problem. So not just only the symptoms. Maybe, let's say, a car has broken down. So the car has broken down, that's the result. Why the car has broken down? Maybe the engine has some problem. So why the engine has some problem? Maybe there was no oiling of the engine. So why we didn't do the oiling of the engine, right? So why didn't we do the oil of engine? Maybe we did not take the engine to a service center. So the ultimate root cause of the problem is that we didn't bring the car to our normal routine checkup. That's why the oiling was not done. That's why the engine was corroded. That's why it was broken down on the road. So you may have to understand what is the root cause of the problem. So for that, you need to ask at least uh, uh, three times why, so that you will really understand what is the root cause of the problem. Once you have identified the root cause of the problem, you may have to go to the design phase. So the design phase means, what are the options, what can I do here in this case. So you may have to come up with multiple choices. Okay, what is the decision? And you may have to also do a bit of prototype of your models. Whatever is the option that you are selecting, you may have to simulate it and say, okay, is it gonna work in my organization or not? Is it gonna work to fix my problem or not? Once you have designed the problems or the solutions, then you have to choose one, right? So there is, if you add, and the studies have shown that you have to at least make three choices for yourself so that you can make a good decision. Once you and but you don't want to make too many choices. You don't want to have too much information. Otherwise, you may stuck into something called the information overload. So once you have done the design phase, once you have prepared your options, then you need to choose one option and see how you are going to implement. The way to implement the decisions is usually to prototype, to test it first before you actually implement the decision and actually commit your resources onto it. You may want to look at a smaller audience, smaller sample, and do a bit of prototyping, do a bit of testing that your chosen option is working or not. And once you have done the implementation phase, the next up is you have to check, have you is it a failure or is it a success. So there is a loop which is called the feedback loop, which is you are going to look at your reality again and say, okay, is it fixed or not fixed after you have implemented the decision. And if it's not fixed, you're gonna have to go back and see, okay, what is the problem now, what is the solution, and then you will continue to go into the loop. So this is called the four phase process of making the decisions. So where do you think are you going to use the business intelligence in these four phases? In which phase?
I have all three phases. We need to use the
Yeah.
business intelligence.
Correct. So in all the three phases, all the four phases of the business in the decision making process, you would need to use your intelligence, your business intelligence, to identify the problems, to design to make the choices of the options, to choose an option, and to implement the decision. So you need a business intelligence in every step, right? So that is called the decision making. Now, why do you need IT support? Now we are going into the business intelligence and combining the data. So nowadays everybody is using the computer data for making the decision. So why do you need an IT support? So basically there are four reasons why you need. One is the number of alternatives is consistently increasing. You have a lot of choices nowadays. You need a lot of information to evaluate this. So you may not be able to just comply with on a paper and then you try to make a decision, because that's not easy nowadays. Everything is on spreadsheets. Everything is on the models. There are softwares, there are programs which help the management make the decisions by inputting the input information into the decision support systems, which we are going to look at it in the future. And then a lot of decisions you normally take are under a lot of time constraints. Is not the time when you used to do the accounting manually and you were able to generate a profit and loss statement only once in a year. By that time the decision is already made, the things is already done, the damage is already done, right? So now the decisions are in a time constraint. You may have to take the decision very quickly, maybe in a matter of like weeks or even days, or there are sometimes nowadays real time decisions. If you are flying a aeroplane, you don't want to know after you have landed, or you want to know immediately how many planes are running around you, right? What is the route, if you are on the track or not after you have landed down. You want to know on real time basis. Maybe in business we are not doing the real time, but you may need to know on a regular basis what customers are thinking about you. How many times you look at the customer prices, if I can ask you? Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly? Anyone?
I think it's daily.
Daily, right? Which business you are
Yeah.
in?
Energy sector.
Uh-huh. Okay. Energy sector. Yeah. So you are looking at your competitor price on a daily basis. I work in hotels. We are also looking at least twice a day, right? Because it's a real time.
Yeah.
We want to know which hotel is selling at what prices so that we can adjust our prices accordingly. Maybe some businesses you don't need on a daily basis. For maybe pharmaceutical business, the price of medicine are not changing every day, right? So you may not need on a daily basis, but yes, you may want to look at maybe a weekly basis or a monthly basis, right? or if you are working maybe let's say for electronics, then you also don't need to change it every day. You may want to look at on a monthly basis. So every different business have different time constraints in order to make the decisions. Some businesses need it real time, some businesses need it off the time, maybe once in a week or once in a month. But a lot of decisions are made on a real time basis, so that's why you need IT support, so that the calculations, the update the data, the syncing of the data is real time. Then the uncertainty in the decision making environment is keep on changing, it's keep on increasing, right? You don't know what's going to happen after 1 month or even after a week. So the uncertainties in the decision making environment is super fast. The crude oil is changing every single day, every maybe 2 times in a day. So you may want to the changes in the environment in which we make the decisions is keep on changing. So the uncertainties are also increasing. Then nowadays, for example, now in especially in current circumstances, this we decided earlier, when your teams are located in different zones, you may have multiple offices. Somebody may have an office here, but actually the decisions are made in Singapore. So but you need a group decision, so that you are looking at the same report at the same time and making a decision together, but you are physically distant. So how you are going to make the decision? You need IT support for that, right? You need to provide the same information to everybody, even they may not be sitting at the same place, but they need to get the same information. So that is the reason why managers need IT support in their decision making systems. So you need there are softwares which are made specific purpose for making decisions. Okay, so what is the IDs? What kind of information technology is available to support the managers? So basically, you have something called business intelligence, which is a broad category of applications. Now, business intelligence, we are not looking at only as a separate term, business and intelligence, and why you need business intelligence. Now, on the business intelligence would mean the systems, the support systems, which can help the organizations make the decisions. So business intelligence means your applications. It can be application, it can be the technology, or it can be a process. Because you have seen in the examples, you need variety of information. You need information on the customer, you need information on the competitor, you need information on the politics, you need information on economics. So not everything is coming from the application, right? Some of them is coming from the processes. So processes as simple as talking to a customer at the time of sale or at the time of after sale, that is a process. So you are trying to collect the information about your products, about your services, right? So you are going to talk to the customers, you are going to talk to your competitors, you are going to read the newspapers, you will look at the other information which is available. It may be available in computer or it may not be available in computer, but you may need to gather all the information. So it can be an application, which is a computer software, it can be a technology, or it can be a process. And the main idea of this entire business intelligence is to gather this information, to store the information, access and analyze. So there are 4 steps, 4 different components of BI systems. One is the gathering the data. So now this is we are covering up. We are making the way for our next assignment, which I'm gonna just give you, where you are saying that, okay, I need some information, where I'm going to gather it, where I will be storing it, how I will access the information, and how I'm going to analyze. So take an example. For example, you want to understand the customer feedback about your product so that you can understand if your features or your efforts are being good or not. So how you are going to gather the data? There are different ways of gathering the data, right? You have different way of gathering the business intelligence. You may talk to the customer, you may ask them to fill up a survey, you may has somebody else rate or talk to the customers. You may ask them to give you support, or you can look at the price margin, how much they are giving extra in terms of compare the other products. So, and how you can look at the orders, number of orders, repeat orders. So there are different ways of understanding how the customers are liking your product or not. So the business has to decide how they are going to gather this data. The next is storing the data. How you are going to store the data? You will be just writing out in a piece, in a logbook. You will enter into an Excel sheet. You will make a program and key feed in the information there. You will do an online survey. You will put it on cloud. You will put it on server. Where? The next is accessing this information. So how often you will access? How often you will analyze this information? So accessing and analyzing means how often you are going to look at this information. Are you going to look at it weekly? You are going to look at it monthly? Analyzing means how you are going to analyze information. You will maybe create a matrix out of 10, and you will summarize the information, let's say the customer information. You will mark them out and then say, okay, how many percent people are saying good about me, how many percent are bad about me. If let's say you can analyze the information, which customers or what type of customers are happier, what type of customers are not happy. In hotels, for example, we have different type of customers, right? We have corporate customers, we have travel customers, we have travel agents, we have meeting customers. So we ask everybody of them to give us the feedback. And what we do basically is, we have two ways. We talk to them after the event, after the checkout, or we send them information about the about the survey. And we also, there are travel websites where the customer can go by themselves and put the comment. So there are three ways we can collect the information: by talking to them, by asking them to fill up a survey, or by looking at the TripAdvisor or Booking.com ratings and reviews, which is not controlled by us, which is not asked by us, but the customer is giving that. You can look at your feed, Facebook profiles, you can look at the recommendation, the comments, and then try to understand the customer is happy or not happy. Now it's up to you how you want to store this information, because the information is coming from four different sources, right? Online survey, TripAdvisor, Facebook comments, your own talking. So how you are going to key in that information and blend it all together into one. No point in understanding from four different sources and you are not able to understand which customer are saying yes or good or bad, and then you will be analyzing it, right? So normally we are not just talking about how do you rate our surveys. We ask more details of what we need, basically what we want to know. Do we want to know about our food? Do we want to know about our bed? Do we want to know about our location? Do we want to know about our prices? So the businesses need to decide what kind of information they are asking from the customers. So a similar way, you are looking at the political crisis, for example, the current crisis, current military, the current political crisis in the country. You may be gathering the data from different sources. You may be reading Myanmar Times, you may be looking at the Facebook post, you may be looking at the government notifications, you may be going and looking at the protest by yourself to see, hey, is it really a lot of people or not, right? So, and then you are storing the information and trying to make sense what is happening on the ground. So this is called the business intelligence. So it's a process, technology, and the application. And the basically what these applications do is gather the information, store the information, and analyze the data. The objective is, as we have already discussed, to help the business users make better decisions. So this is one type of IT support that is available. And the other type is business and BI applications help the decision makers to quickly ascertain the status of business enterprises. So that is the benefit of BI applications. And by examining the key information. So the next step, one of the step in understanding the business intelligence is, what is the key information? What do we want to understand about our business our business? What is the key data that we want to know, right? Okay. Just give me a second. Okay, is this business intelligence clear to everyone?